Okay, let's get started. I want to first thank you all for making the time to tune into today's webinar. My name is Natalie Taylor, and I'm a content marketing writer here at Feedvisor. As you know, Prime Day is quickly approaching, and today we'll be discussing key strategies you can implement to ensure that this year's Prime Day is successful for your Amazon business. I'm joined by e-commerce enthusiast Jenny Nguyen, Partner Marketing Manager at ShipStation. ShipStation is a web-based shipping solution that streamlines the order fulfillment process for online businesses. Before I hand things off to Jenny, I want to just quickly go over what we do here at Feedvisor. Feedvisor is an end-to-end AI-first optimization and intelligence platform for Amazon sellers. With artificial intelligence, machine learning, and human expertise working collaboratively, Feedvisor provides actionable insights for every aspect of your Amazon business, all in one place. Whether you need profit-centric repricing, fully automated advertising optimization, or key data and analytics to support your business growth and identify blind spots, Feedvisor will partner with you to drive ROI across all aspects of your Amazon operation. Now, although Amazon has not yet announced a date for this year's Prime Day, we can expect it to be sometime in mid-July, likely over a 36-hour period. And while the May 10th deadline to submit Lightning deals has passed, it's definitely not too late to strategize other ways to capitalize on this holiday. According to Feedvisor data, 31% of consumers anticipate making a purchase on Prime Day 2019, and nearly half of current Prime members plan to buy something during the shopping event this year. And in a recent survey of Amazon sellers, 25% of them said Prime Day is the biggest driver of sales for their company. So given the event's significance to both consumers and sellers, now is the time to get your plan in place to make sure Prime Day is successful and profitable for your business, and to capitalize on that massive loyal consumer base. For a holiday designed specifically for Prime members, having the proper fulfillment method is key. Our recent survey found that 50% of sellers utilize FBA as their primary fulfillment method, while 24% use a combination of FBA and FBM or SFP. But it's important to note that 83% of Prime members say that free 2-day shipping is the most compelling benefit of Amazon's membership program. And more than 2/3 say that Prime eligibility is a key factor they consider before selecting a product on Amazon. So sellers need to take into consideration the fulfillment method they have in place, given consumers' priority for Prime eligible products. And on that note, I'll let Jenny take it from here, but I just quickly want to mention that there will be a short poll at the end of the webinar and plenty of time for a Q&A. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, we encourage you to enter them into the space below, and we'll try our best to get to all of them. And with that, I'll hand things over to Jenny.
All right, hi everyone. Thanks, Natalie. I'd just like to give you a quick overview of ShipStation and why we care about Prime Day. So, like Natalie said, we think of ourselves as a shipping platform, and our model is wherever you sell, however you ship, exceptionally efficient. For us, this means whether you sell on Amazon or eBay or Etsy, we'll consolidate all of your orders into a platform, and then whoever your shipping carrier is, will generate labels right within our software for you to generate labels right within our software, and you can compare live rates with each of those different carriers, whether you do FedEx, UPS, whatever. And then that exceptionally efficient part is where we really pride ourselves in. And we like to help our merchants streamline their shipping and logistics processes and their automation rules, which fits right into your own workflow, and you can personalize it, which is why we're pretty excited to talk about Prime Day, because we find that that's one of the holidays, or that's one of those big days in e-commerce that are really difficult for merchants, because Amazon has a lot of its rules, and you're trying to get everything out within the very small time frame that they give you. So today I'm just going to be going over how to make that easier for yourself. So we can go to the agenda. Yeah, so today we'll just talk about how do I prep shipping and logistics wise for Prime Day, for the core pieces of products that I'm listing for Prime Day? How do I prioritize each of those? For us specifically, we're going to be just talking about seller fulfilled Prime. You can ask me questions later for non-seller fulfilled if you want, but for our purposes, that's what we're going to be talking about. And then we'll just talk about how to prep for Prime Day and what all of that involves. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first step is to prioritize the products that you're listing for Prime Day in your warehouse workflow. So what does that mean? You're not going to have every product listed that you have in your warehouse. Hopefully you've already considered which products that you're going to list. So if that's 4 or 5 of your best products or whichever ones that you want customers to buy on that day. So from those 4 or 5 products, how do you select those items and how you make sure that they process and ship in time to meet those Prime requirements, especially if you're getting orders at a high volume. So depending on your shipping platform and what you use in-house, whether you have an in-house platform or you're using something like ShipStation, the first part is actually to list those items and put them at the top of your product list. So within ShipStation, and I'm speaking this from a ShipStation standpoint, but it's going to look very differently depending on what you use. So you can actually pull all of the products that you're going to list into the top of your workflow. And that makes it easier for the warehouse managers to kind of get a view into your Prime Day. And on top of that, ShipStation allows you to tag items, and other shipping platforms will too, that say Prime Day or Prime Day item. So in the screenshot, you'll see like tags that you can filter by. And that makes it a lot easier for the people who are working in your warehouses or the people who are processing your orders to actually just view just Prime Day. And that makes it a lot easier for the day of or the 2 days or 2 to 3 days that you're processing all of these orders. And once you've added these tags and filters, you can easily check on your Prime Day orders without having to go through each and every single individual order, trying to make sure that they get fulfilled in time. Even aside from Prime Day, if you sell anywhere else besides Amazon, or you do seller fulfilled and Amazon fulfilled Prime, you should look into having a tagging system like this for your Prime products, because it makes it a lot easier for your warehouse workers and people processing your orders. Okay, so now that I've tagged my Prime products, what do I do next? You can go into the next slide. Yeah, so I've tagged my Prime products. What do I do next? Well, another important thing is to actually set up automation rules. So most shipping platforms will allow you to do this. We have a pretty robust one that will allow you to set almost any kind of rule that you're looking for. And so everything that I'm going to go over is a suggestion. Don't feel like you have to do all of these. It's just whatever will work for your workflow and however your warehouse is set up. So within ShipStation, you can build the following automation rules. One, you can assign the Prime products. This is where those tags that you set up comes in handy to certain pickers and packers within your warehouse workflow. So that way you don't disturb the rest of your workflow. Let's say you still have orders coming in from eBay, or you still have orders coming in from other selling channels. This way you can just assign people specifically to Prime and it doesn't disturb the rest of your orders. And it'll make sure that they know to prioritize and pack your Prime products. This can be a regular part of your process, or it could be an automation rule you set up within a certain date range. So let's say Amazon sets their Prime Day for July 12th or something like that. You can actually set that date range for this is when I'm going to have this specific person pick and pack all of my Prime orders, and then after that it'll reset to its regular automation rules that you already have. And this helps a lot with special days like Prime or even through the holiday season. Okay, so another rule you should set is to have your inventory prioritize your Prime orders over orders from other places, because it gives you more time. Those other places will give you more time and wiggle room to fulfill them, versus for Prime, you can get dinged for not getting your packages there in time. And it's a pretty quick setup within our system for inventory, but again, different depending on what system that you're using. And lastly, the automation rule that we see a lot of our users set up is getting alerts when there is, if you have a smaller workflow, if you're getting prime orders, we see people set up alerts for one order, or if you have a really large volume, we see like for every 50 orders, the pick packer gets pinged that, yeah, I think you're gonna have to pick up 50 orders. And that really helps with the workflow, and that really helps on Prime Day to not get it really, yeah, to not have just such a bottleneck on your flow. Okay, so if we can move on. All right, so this is the one that I'm actually really excited about. So this is the best one that we see a lot of our users picking, and depending on how you have your warehouse technically integrated with Amazon, it's actually really complicated because we see that Amazon limits you. So you can only have 30 calls and 30 API calls per hour within Amazon. But that means that if you're getting over 100, that's like 3 calls per order that you probably need to make in order to process an order. And that means that you're going to be really limited in terms of how many calls you can make with Amazon. Well, we have something called batch processing or batch printing that really helps with this. So if I get, let's say, 50 of the same order for the same product, I can actually move this all into a batch, so you can use those filters that you've already set up for Prime Day, and then you can just grab those different products and just move them into one batch, and then it actually only makes one call to Amazon, whether it's to generate those shipping labels or it's to say, hey, these are these are getting fulfilled, and it saves a lot of throttling on the back end for you, because we see that when Amazon starts to get throttled, or when those API calls start to line up, a lot of merchants on Prime Day last year, we saw that they actually weren't able to get their notifications to Amazon until the night after. So that's a pretty important one on our end. All right. And last but not least, it's our carrier relations. So everyone knows, usually most people will already have their scheduled carrier pickups. So if you're using FedEx or UPS, whatever it is that you're using, just remember to have those set up for the day of, for Prime Day, as well as the day after, as you're fulfilling. And just make sure you call them ahead of time to confirm your pickup time. And then we also have specified automation rules for carriers for Prime Day. So if you know that you're just going to use one carrier, or you're going to use a set of carriers for those products that you're shipping out, there's actually a rule that will allow you to just set that. So if I can already set in the weight, the volume, what type of shipping I want, and I can auto generate those labels as soon as I get those orders, versus having to put that in every single time, how much my product weighs, etc. And that will just save you a lot of time when you're processing these Prime orders. All right. All right, so last but not least, we actually know that it's pretty hard to be a Prime seller. We also know that, especially if you're a new one, it's really confusing at times. Even if you're not just selling on Amazon, that makes it a little bit even more confusing, because now I'm pulling in orders from eBay and Etsy and all these different places, and I'm having to deal with all these different carriers. So ShipStation, as a thank you for listening to me speak on this webinar, we want to give you a free promo code for 2 months free of ShipStation. So before now and Prime Day, that gives you some time to set up your warehouse and your automation workflow. So if you go into ShipStation.com and you sign for a free trial, you can input the promo code ShipFeed, or Feedvisor will also send out a thank you email after this with how to get registered for this. And with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Natalie.
Okay, thank you, Jenny, for sharing some strategies to prepare Amazon businesses for a successful Prime Day, and for also shedding some light on how ShipStation helps streamline the e-commerce fulfillment process. To learn more about the significance of holiday shopping events for Amazon sellers, as well as their growth strategies, revenue figures, advertising plans, and then some, you can download a free copy of our State of the Amazon Marketplace report at the link provided here. Now we have several questions that we'd like to get into as part of the Q&A. But firstly, also I'd like to just share a brief poll that you should see on your screen now. As always, if you'd like to learn more about any of the ongoing initiatives that we have here at Feedvisor, from our new advertising solution to our data intelligence and brand optimizations, please connect with us. All right, now let's get into some questions. So first question, how does ShipStation work with Fulfilled by Amazon versus Seller Fulfilled?
That's a really good question. So we typically don't see very many Amazon fulfilled users unless they're already shipping with or they're already selling on other channels. We see primarily if you're only selling on Amazon, we see seller fulfilled a lot more.
Okay, and next question. How would my warehouse workflow differ if I'm not prepping for Prime Day?
So I kind of went into this a little bit. You can use all of those same automation rules and you can adjust the date range if you're prepping for holidays, or you can auto have those tags for Prime products. It works the same way. And you don't have to tag it for Prime Day. You can just have it tagged for, let's say, Prime product. And you can set up your workflows the same exact way, depending on what you guys need and how big your workflow actually is within your warehouses.
Next question, should I do FBA or FBM?
That's really up to you. FBA, Amazon's going to take a huge chunk out of your, your end costs. We find that a lot of smaller merchants don't like that, especially if you're not selling at a high volume. It's not that beneficial for you. You're going to see a lot of cut into your profits. FBM, we recommend this for, smaller to mid-sized merchants, or even actually more so the larger merchants as well. It just really depends on what you can afford and how, if you have the right workflow or you have the enough resources to know that you're going to be able to fulfill these in time. But again, you're taking on that shipping cost on your own as well. So we see it work differently for different people. Amazon Vendor Central and Seller Central actually has a lot of those questions answered and what you should consider when you're looking into FBM versus FBA. You can contact ShipStation support if you're already, whether or not you're already a ShipStation user, and they can kind of talk you through it. It just takes understanding your workflow and what you can actually support.
Okay, that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you again, Jenny, for your expertise. We really appreciate your time today, and thank you to everyone listening in. I hope that you took away some valuable insights and strategies to implement as you prepare for Prime Day. And don't forget to use the promo code SHIPFEED for 2 months of free ShipStation. For anyone whose questions we did not have a chance to get to today, we'll be sure to follow up and get in touch with you. And we'll also be sending out a link to the webinar recording shortly. With that, please feel free to reach out if you're interested in learning more after the presentation. And we wish you all a successful Prime Day this year. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.